Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and I wasn't planning on making another video tonight, but then I got on Twitter again, like Twitter, yeah. I start reading about this Ubisoft news about nothing being done in the last year, to change the culture at Ubisoft, and you know, this is to me this is pretty disappointing because I really like Ubisoft games. I play a lot of Ubisoft games. Assassin's Creed is one of my all-time favorite um, franchises out there. Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell. All of these are I basically buy every single Ubisoft game day one. I'm a day one supporter, and I love playing their games. I love exploring their open worlds, and I love Ubisoft games. And so hearing about these things, that the culture at Ubisoft's not changing. First of all, this is where I stand. I don't think anybody should have to feel uncomfortable at the place they work doing the job they love. I think everybody should be treated equally and fair. And, you know, I'm I'm grateful that I don't work in an industry that I have to that 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 kind of stuff, is few and far between. Like I work in a shop, I don't there's not a bunch of women, around and stuff like that. So I mean it's a pretty it's a lot different culture, so I mean, like I can't even imagine how it would be to have to work in an office, every day and creating things that people genuinely love. I mean, a lot of that is the star effect, I mean, like people just throw themselves at stars like nothing. Like they have it's like they can't control themselves, like I get how thing. Well, I mean, and this has to do with the employees, though. Like I was talking about um, Ashraf. Like the situation with Ashraf. Like I was really disappointing to see him go because when Assassin's Creed Origins came out, was the first time I even learned about him. But like he seemed like he was a cool dude. He seemed like he was a cool guy. But I mean, people are human, man. People are freaking human. That's all I can say is, stuff's bound to happen. But I mean, if the managers are cruel at Ubisoft, yeah, there's a lot of things that need to change. And I mean, we found out about this, just before what Assassin's Creed Valhalla was going to launch. This whole thing blew up in Ubisoft's face, and you know, the CEO said that he was going to change the culture there. And I'm telling you, at a place as big as Ubisoft with as many employees as they have, that's going to take a lot of time to. That's going to take a lot of time to weed that behavior out of that culture. So I mean, I seen in these reports that instead of getting rid of people, they're just transferring them to different departments and stuff like that. And um, I mean, in some cases that can work, and that is a solution to a problem, because you have to weigh, like in business, you can't just. I mean, I don't know how French laws and like Canadian laws are. Ubisoft's got studios all over the world. Okay, so I don't know exactly. I mean, I do have a degree in criminal justice here in the States, so I do kind of understand how the laws work here. And it takes more than just accusations sometimes to be able to fire somebody. They have to have a pretty good they have to have a pretty good leg to stand on for the most part. So I mean, like transferring, employees to different parts, to different departments and stuff like that. Like that is definitely a short-term solution so that more investigation can be done for the problem, because you have to be fair on both parts. You have to be fair, to both parties. I mean, just because somebody accuses somebody doesn't always mean that, like that happened, or it was as severe as like somebody thought. And this isn't me trying to minimize anybody's actions or anybody's behavior at all. Like if they're scumbags, get rid of them, straight up. If they're a scumbag and they're treating employees bad and they're, doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. I mean, it's a workplace. Nobody should feel like they are second class. Nobody should feel like nobody should go to work fearing that, something bad's going to happen. Like you shouldn't have to fear. You shouldn't have that anxiety on top of already trying to do a stressful job. Like I maintain things and I put things back together and stuff like that. And my job's pretty stressful, a lot of the time. So there shouldn't be somebody there exuding more pressure or more stress on somebody, especially in a creative department, a creative field like making video games. I mean, yeah, that culture has been, I mean, like you hear about it all the time in the show business and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure that translates over to the video game industry, but the video game industry isn't as much in the limelight as, stars and stuff like that. So I mean, like the world is starting to wake up to this type of stuff and, starting to hold, people and things accountable. Like back in the 70s, 80s, I mean, like, yeah, this that was just, everyday normal stuff, but the world is waking up. It is getting more in tune with how to treat people, and that's a good thing. Like I'm all for that. I'm all for, people learning how to respect each other and work together in harmony, because women in the workforce, they bring a lot to the table. I mean, like one of my favorite, video game writers in stories, is Amy Hennig. I mean, she's amazing. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of female leaders in the video game industry that are freaking amazing. Like the stories they come up with and the stories they tell and the things they put together. Like I'm grateful to be, a part of the video game industry, and I love it. Like I enjoy that. I don't even watch movies most of the time. Like I rarely ever like turn on the TV or watch movies. I spend all my time working and playing video games and spending time with my family. But this whole Ubisoft thing, like I've seen a couple of YouTube videos, about people coming out and saying, basically we should stop supporting Ubisoft financially. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Especially after only a year, or no, I don't even think it's been a year yet. Like we started hearing about this, right after E3 or right before E3. So I mean, it's pretty close. It is getting pretty close to about a year. I did follow this pretty closely for a while, back when it first started happening, and then I mean, if the CEO said he's going to make changes and try to fix the culture in his company, that's going to take some time, I mean, there's definitely a lot of talent at Ubisoft, and whether that some of that talent is corrupt or not good or treating people bad, I don't recommend. Like this is a touchy subject, I don't necessarily recommend boycotting or stopping purchasing Ubisoft games just yet. I say we give them 2 years. Like right now, they're probably in the beginning phases or something, of like, moving people to different departments, continuing their investigation, keeping a paper trail on the different employees that have had problems and stuff, and building cases on these people so that when they do let them go, they have a firm foot to stand on. And the people will know that, hey, yeah, I screwed up, I mean, Ubisoft is probably, Ubisoft probably could force some of these employees, these problem employees, into getting, you know, like some mental health services and stuff like that. Or, I mean, if they're a terrible predator and they're doing terrible things, yeah, Ubisoft should get rid of them right there on the spot. There should be no question about that. I mean, it seriously does depend on the severity of the accusation too. You know, you can't just up and be like, oh yeah, well he brushed by me and I didn't like the way it felt. You know, I mean, like that's not grounds for getting rid of somebody. Or, you know, somebody has a heated conversation because they disagree and they belittle somebody, you know, why they're mad, you know. Like that stuff happens at jobs. That happens. And usually, you know, the person will come back and be like, hey, you know, I'm sorry, I was out of line, I shouldn't talk to you that way. We need to be able to learn how to forgive some things that happen because they were, you know, I mean, like, but also hold people accountable for things that, you know, they continuously do. I mean, I don't know if that, I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense, but I don't think we should stop buying Ubisoft games right now because there's a lot of employees that depend on that income to support their families, to um I think that, you know, Ubisoft, I'm pretty sure Ubisoft has got a team working on, you know, putting files together on employees, problem employees that are creating problems. And I'm pretty sure no Ubisoft employee that has one of these jackets or files on them is going to come out unscathed if they continue their bad behavior. But if they correct that behavior, turn it around, and start doing better, I don't see no reason why they can't receive, you know, forgiveness or a probationary period or something like it. It depends on the severity, though. I mean, if they're obviously out there, like, you know, sexually assaulting people and stuff like that, and they're just, you know, like really traumatizing like groups of people, then maybe they're not good for the company. Yeah, I mean, like, but that's kind of Ubisoft's call, you know. I mean, who are they going to keep on? And and that's kind of the way it is, you know, with jobs too. You know, you got a lot of talent, and you got, I don't know. I'm pretty sure the video game industry is a high stress environment already as it is, seeing as there's lots of deadlines and shareholders and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that just adds to the stress. But I mean, you got to understand that, you know, the world is a lot more emotional than when I grew up. You know, when I joined the workforce in my early 20s, it was way rough back then. I mean, if you, you know, I've had some pretty rough jobs. I've always worked in, you know, like I rarely did like retail and stuff like that. I did the retail, you know, as a, you know, in my early 20s, but then after that I moved on to, like, you know, mechanic work and building houses and stuff like that. So I've been pretty much removed from that scene for, you know, the last, you know, at least 15 years. So I mean, like, it is a lot more emotional. I mean, nowadays people are more out to say what they feel when they feel it, and that's a good thing. You know, you should be expressive. You should express how you feel, and if you don't like the way somebody's treating you, you should call them on that. You should tell them, hey, you know, right to their face, like, I don't like the way you talk to me, or I don't like the way you treat me, or I'm not okay with that. That's not cool. And you need to be vocal, and you need to express how you're feeling about that, and don't back down. Do not back down. You know, I mean, what you have to be able to learn how to control some of these situations all on your own, because nobody's going to do it for you. You know, if you and somebody else are working in the same company and the boss likes both of you the same, how is a boss supposed to decide, you know, which one of you guys is, you know, I mean, you have to be able to confront other people on your own and stand up for yourself. That's just part of life. You have to be able to do that. Nobody's going to do that for you, and if they do that for you, it is going to be it's going to be tough. Like I don't condone any kind of behavior like that whatsoever. You know, I mean that's not cool. But I also do believe in forgiveness. I mean, myself, I was a homeless drug addict for like 7 years. Okay, I didn't, you know, I just gave up on life. You know, after my first wife left me, I just kind of gave up and was like, whatever, I'm just gonna go party. I wouldn't say a homeless drug addict, but I would say, just couch surfing and stuff like that, and just being on drugs all the time. And like it took a while for me to kind of wake up from that, and I believe everybody deserves a second chance, because now here I am, I'm back to being normal, I'm back to sobriety, I'm back to taking care of myself and working and providing a life and a future for my children and stuff like that. So I do believe that people deserve a second chance for the most. I mean, yeah, there's obviously some heinous stuff out there that like I mean, there's like some stuff that is cruel by nature that shouldn't. That, I mean, eventually, someday down the road, be forgiven. But to be able to stay where they're at and collect, no, that. I'm pretty sure if there's something heinous like that going on at Ubisoft, they have dealt with that. I mean, there was a lot of departures from Ubisoft right after all this happened, so I'm pretty sure that the main offenders are probably not there anymore. But now, oh yeah, I don't know, man. Basically, I like Ubisoft games. Okay, that is a hard decision. I mean, some of these stories and stuff, I mean, they might be a little exaggerated, to a certain extent. I'm not talking about like the people that work there. I'm talking about like the stories, that broke the news that, oh yeah, well, Ubisoft doesn't do nothing. In the media these days, they tend to leave out specific details while they're trying to make their point, that once they do come out, you're like, oh yeah, in hindsight, you're thinking about it like, well, yeah, that wasn't cool. Like, why didn't they just say that in the first place and stuff? So I'm not saying that it's not true, and I'm not saying that it is true. I'm just saying that, I think Ubisoft deserves some some more time. I mean, if we get to like 2 years and they haven't done nothing, and everything is just in like this behavior is still going on, and people are still coming forward and being like, hey, nothing's happening, like this person is still doing the exact same behavior they've been doing for the last 2 years, then let's call them out. I'll be right there with you. Let's I mean, I don't know. It's pretty hard. Like, I'm pretty sure there's rules and stuff that the Ubisoft upper management has to follow in order to separate ties with some of these guys, because some of them might have contracts, and really expensive contracts, that if Ubisoft terminates them, then they have to pay them out. So maybe they do transfer them to a different department with less responsibility, but keep them working, and still using the resources that person has to recoup that money that they still have to pay them. I mean, there's in that industry, I'm pretty sure there's certain contracts that go along with a lot of that upper management stuff, that like Ubisoft would bankrupt itself possibly by getting rid of a lot of the bad actors, the way that the social justice advocates are going after it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, like, yeah, they're all rich people. They can afford it, whatever. I mean, like, it is what it is, but I don't know. I mean, like, we got to kind of come down to reality a little bit, and like look at the situation, and try to fully understand what's going on. Like, yeah, definitely call Ubisoft out. If you think that they're not doing what they should be doing fast enough for you, call them out. Do that. You have that right. You are a human being, and you have specific God-given rights that nobody can take from you. So yeah, voice your opinion. But on the other hand, don't try to force other people to share that same opinion. I mean, if you believe that we should not buy Ubisoft products anymore, voice that. I mean, that is your job to do. But then, you're gonna have people like me, that think, hey, I mean, like, obviously there's a situation going on at Ubisoft. We knew about this. We've known about it for a year. Yeah, it has been pretty quiet. We haven't really heard anything about it until now. So, for the benefit of the doubt, let's give it a year. Okay, so we've given it a whole year, and these stories are saying not much has changed. So, you know, now that everybody is like, hey, what's going on? That's cool. Like, I totally agree with that. Call them out right now. It's been a year. Call them out. Hey, what's the progress? What's going on? What are the results? What are we going to do? I am 110% okay with that. And I personally will call out Ubisoft too right now and say, hey, are we going to fix this problem? What are we going to do? Okay, because you've got a lot of people that are obviously feeling way, way more emotional about this, and they want to see results. They want to see, or they want to hear, an update on what is going on in Ubisoft to fix this culture. We don't want any more like song and dance. We don't want to be told, "Oh yeah, we're fixing it" and stuff. We want to hear, what kind of results we've got going. And I mean, as long as those results do not interfere with the results of in ongoing investigations that may or may not be taking place right now, I think that Ubisoft probably should come out and give the public an update on what it's doing to correct this problem, because it's not going to sweep itself under the rug. There are people out there that really want to know, and I'm grateful, for these stories, coming out and making me aware of this, because I do love Ubisoft games. I do care about, like, Ubisoft is one of the big, 5 developers that I buy their games day one right when they come out. So yeah, this is stressful. It's frustrating. It's definitely it definitely like tears at my heartstring, because I love their games a lot. And I mean, if they're not going to correct that problem, if they're not going to fix that stuff, then I am going to not buy their products no more. I am going to not be supportive of Ubisoft, and that will break my heart, because I buy a lot of Ubisoft games and I play a lot of their games for tons of hours, and that really frustrates me, because if they're not going to fix the problem and they're going to sweep it under the rug and give us that lawyer whatever placate speak, yeah, I mean, there is no reason to support a company that lies to your face and tells you that everything's okay, when obviously there's people still coming out and being like, hey, no, this shit's still happening to me. Like, what's going on, Ubisoft? There's a story now. A lot of people have seen this. A lot of people want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. I want to know that I can trust, that I can buy your products without having to feel, I don't want to feel like somebody is suffering for me to have a good experience that about it. Like, that does kind of make me upset. If you know about this and it's happening under your watch and you're not doing anything about it, then yeah, that's I do not want Ubisoft, listen to me right now, okay? I do not want people to suffer to bring me my experience. I don't. I want to be able to play those games knowing that they were made with love, they were made with care, and everybody was treated equally and good, throughout the company. I want your employees to be happy. I want your employees to go to work stress-free. I want your employees to be able to come to HR or come to upper management and talk about their problems. I want your employees to be able to get on Twitter or any other means of social media and call out situations when they happen without being punished, without having to worry about losing their jobs, without having to be worried about being demoted or moved to a different place. I want your employees to have anonymity from being hurt. Like, they deserve that. That's, as a paying customer for your games, that's what I demand. I want the best product your people can deliver, and the only way they're going to give me that product is if they feel good about themselves. If they feel like they're in a safe environment to where they can be creative. Because Ubisoft, I love your guys' games, but me as a paying customer, I want the best quality I can get, and that's the only way I'm going to get that quality is if your employees feel good about themselves. So if this is really still going on, and this is really still how your company is running, you need to fix this. You need to get on top of this, and you need to fix that culture at Ubisoft. I really appreciate you watching this. I'm going to go ahead and drop it at that. That's how I feel. That's my gist of it. I really don't like hearing this kind of stuff in the video game industry. It really does. It really does make me question, should I even keep, playing video games and stuff? Because I know this stuff happens. I mean, it's everywhere. It does. It shouldn't be part of our culture anymore. Like we're better than that. I feel like we're better than that. Yeah, I really hate it how people with power take advantage of people that are weaker than them. That makes me mad. That's the whole reason why I got into wanting to be in law enforcement, is because I wanted to be able to protect those that can't protect themselves. That's why most of my family has served in the military. Like, that's just the kind of people we are. And yeah, that really does frustrate me, and it really does hurt. And I do, I mean, I don't want to be preached to, and I don't want to preach to anybody else, but yeah, let's get this fixed, Ubisoft. Let's fix this. If you like this content and you want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.